Hi, welcome back to Women Making Moves, where we celebrate the moves that women are making. My name is Amy Pons. I'm a Master Certified Life Coach and an energy healer. I'm joined today with Gabriella Scaringe. Gabriella is shaking up the intimate apparel industry with a blend of humor, innovation, and a mission to banish body insecurities. As the Gen Z founder and CEO of Cherri, a vulva positive underwear brand, Gabriella is redefining what it means to feel comfortable in your own skin and your underwear. Driven by her own experiences and a desire to challenge industry norms, Gabriella took to TikTok to tackle the often ignored topic of vulva diversity. Yes, she gained widespread attention through her candid and humorous TikTok videos discussing vulva diversity and body acceptance. Her viral content, which humorously addresses innies and outies, has garnered millions of views and sparked important conversations about body image and self-esteem. By shining a light on a place where typically the sun don't shine, she has empowered countless individuals to ditch their insecurities. Through the creation of her brand Cherri, she has nudged the intimate apparel industry toward more inclusive designs. Gabriella's innovative approach to underwear design stems from her research revealing that standard gussets are too narrow for the average vulva. Unlike many brands, Cherri focuses on inclusivity by designing underwear with wider gussets to fit diverse vulva shapes, addressing a significant gap in the market. With her unique mix of humor, heart, and innovation, Gabriella and her brand Cherri is inspiring women to love their bodies just as they are. Gabriella, welcome.
Thank you.
The moment I saw, I'm a BuzzFeeder. I don't know if there's like many of us left out there. I don't know. But that's kind of like that's my downtime as I'm falling asleep at night. And I came across your video and I was like, fuck yes. Like, please, thank you for someone talking about this. And it came from a place of kind of rage induced because I was listening to a podcast where a man was making fun of a woman he had been intimate with for having an outie. And that's how I first came to understand innies and outies. And I'm like, wait, what? For those who don't know, and I love your official, like the way that you talk about it, I got so mad. Like, what right? How dare you? No wonder between the porn industry and conversations like these where women are being shamed, no wonder women are literally going into surgery to have their vulvas reduced or cut off. That blows my mind. So how did you learn about innie and outie, and how would you describe them for those who don't know?
Yes. Also, just hearing that also just strikes a chord in me that just is like instant rage. So I just need to like,
Yeah, we can ground for a second.
yeah. Do you want to just like,
Yeah, we're both enraged, but we're both like smiling through it. We're like, that's like,
exactly. So for those who don't know, innie and outie is kind of like a funny term used on the internet to describe different ways your labia can look. Labias come in all sorts of shapes, sizes, and colors, and most notably, you can kind of separate them into the two categories of innie and outie. Innie is when your labia majora covers your labia minora. So that means your outer lips, which is usually where the hair grows, disguises the inner lips.
Mhm.
An outie is when the labia minora sticks out further or is more visible than the labia majora. In the space of society, you wouldn't really think it, but there have been defined beauty standards for our bits. And it's all very subliminal. It's in things like that podcast you had heard of that man talking about how like outies were disgusting. It's things like saying outies are like roast beef, or that, longer inner labia happens when a woman has too many sexual partners. And basically saying that your body looks like this because you did something wrong. When in reality, the way our labia looks, the way it's shaped is just genetics and hormones. So typically an innie is seen as desired, and an outie can kind of have a bit of a bad rep. As an outie myself, I always knew I had an outie and didn't typically think anything was wrong with me until I had heard that rhetoric before. And me personally, I was a victim of childhood sexual abuse. So for me, I felt like I looked that way because of what had been done for me. This concept of like women being like ran through. And so I felt like it was hard for me to accept who I was because of that way. And it wasn't until I started seeing other people's vulvas that I realized that it was okay, like thankfully for the internet and things like that. I've never had, negative comments about my outie other than, one partner I had who was a plastic surgeon, but he was like a walking red flag. But yeah, most people don't care.
That partner, like, did he suggest surgery?
Yeah, so I had always wanted to have my breasts done.
Mm-hmm.
So I really wanted him to give me a breast augmentation. And he was like, yeah, well, we're in there. We can do a labiaplasty as well. I had never even heard of it before. I didn't even know what it was. I was maybe like 19. And he was like, yeah, like your inner lips stick out further than your outer lips. That's seen as undesirable. Like literally words. He said, undesirable. I didn't even know that. I had gotten to a place where I was like comfortable with my body. And then I was like, oh, it's actually undesirable. I was like, wait, what?
According to fucking whom? I'm getting raged now. I'm getting raged.
No, because I was always confused because I don't know if you've ever seen like a nudie mag or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
If they're doing like a cheeky photo where they're just showing off their butt or something, you don't see any vulva.
Right.
But for me, from behind, you can see my inner lips. Like I have a bit of a thigh gap where like you can see my inner lips straight through. So I had never seen photos like that of people who had the same body as me. So then it was all kind of clicking when I was hearing all of these things. Like, oh, it's because I'm ran through. Oh, it's because it's undesirable, blah, 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 blah.
Thank you for sharing about your childhood. I'm sorry that happened.
Thank you.
To your point, how would we have ever known? Like even the terms, I'm an any, but I have like a very puffy labia major. So while I'm an any, it's still like pronounced. So like if I'm wearing a bathing suit, it's like puffy. It almost looks like it's swollen.
Kind of like your mom's pubis kind of sticks out a little more. Or like, what they say, like a Homer Simpson mouth pussy.
Oh, no, it looks like an actual clam. Like it's very
I love that.
it's like I love this conversation. To your point, so I saw like some magazines that featured naked women. They were all, and this is before I understood Photoshop or understood that there was surgery, they were all really tucked. Even innies were like flat against their bodies. And I'm like, I'm different. I don't understand. And so I called it like puffy coot. Like I don't know, but no one else talked about it. But I felt really insecure. Oh, because also it could be it's further up, but I'm like, do I have a fupa?
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, again, I'm 42. This has been only the past year or so that I even understood that we all either didn't look the same or like it was only like what we've seen in mainstream porn or magazines and things like that. And again, learning that many of those people have had surgery or augmentation to make it quote unquote more desirable by men.
Yeah. Yeah, it's truly like disheartening when you realize how ingrained the male gaze is into feminine presentation, so much so to the extent that we are worried about a part that is not really displayed to the public.
Right. Right. And how beautiful that you and I are sharing this space about ours.
And I mean, crazy. I mean, not crazy when you think about it, that you've come to these realizations now, like what, only 1 or 2 years ago?
Yeah.
I think that just shows just what lack of education and representation we're having around our bodies.
I love Gen Z. You're all just coming in and being like, I unsubscribe.
Yeah.
And I love y'all. Like, I feel like as an elder millennial and just a little bit of background, I was in corporate America. I did the copy paste culture for the first 40 years of my life and then like did a 180 and said unsubscribed, became a coach, and I work with energy. And it's all about embracing who you authentically are and getting out of the copy paste, which I find that within my generation, the millennial, and I'll say women, the people that I serve primarily are women who are shifting or wanting to shift the narrative around how they grew up or how they were conditioned about our body image and what kind of standards or norms were set forth and by whom. So it's just questioning Why was something set up? So I often like to trace back the historical origin. So for instance, the whole entire reason that women shave their legs is because when men went to war in the 1920s, the big razor companies were losing money. So they put out advertisements that said, no man will love you if you have body hair. And that took off. And that's the origin as to why women remove body hair.
So many products are marketed to women, on this basis of insecurity of like, you won't be attractive to a man. So
Mhm.
many products.
Right. What I'll always say is like, we've all been on those girls' trips or ladies' trips where, oh, I forgot a razor. It's like, if you feel better to shave, that's awesome. But don't feel like you have to.
Yeah. I'm a big supporter of you do you.
You do you. Like, who are you bothering? Which brings me to your amazing product, and I want to hear more. But I just don't wear underwear anymore at all because there's never been any underwear
My
that.
gosh, I need to send you some cherries. I will send you some cherries.
What moves are you excited to be making right now? What is Cherri? Tell us all about it.
Okay, so Cherri is my vulva positive underwear brand, and we've said the word vulva and labia a lot here, so maybe just in case people
Yes.
don't know, vulva is the word for basically what we commonly refer to as our vaginas, but the vagina is actually just the inside of us. The
Like
vulva is the whole kit and caboodle down there, so that's what we see. That's like the lips, the outside of the hole, the booty hole, the clitoris. That's the part that's visible. And the labia refers to the coochie lips.
the vagina is the birthing canal, or
Yes.
where you put the tampon, or the toy, or the penis, or what have you, or whatever you want to safely put in there. That's where
It's really edgier, yes. So I was actually meeting new people the other day and I was describing what I do. And I said, oh, I have a vulva positive underwear brand. And they were like, what's a vulva? And I was like, oh,
Mhm.
I'm living in my little bubble. I forget. Some people don't know.
Gabriella, that's an exquisite point. So many women my age and older don't realize vulva, vagina.
Yeah.
It's wild. No, and it's not mainstream.
I think that there is some people like, oh, what's the big deal? Like, it's just a word. But it actually isn't just a word. It actually comes down to us being educated about our bodies, and understanding and being educated about our bodies is so empowering.
For those folks who say that it's just a word, and I'm going to tell you something that's relevant. Yesterday, over the weekend, a male coach posted about a male client and said he had a case of vaginitis and was degrading him based on him acting like a woman, basically. And the backlash was pretty strong from women. And his response was, it's just a word. You're seeing it because you want to see it. And I shared a perspective. I said, you're not seeing it because you've never had to. So
Mm.
be mindful. So words matter, y'all. And I love, Gabriella, what you're saying. I beautifully have a vagina, a booty hole, a clitoris, a vulva. To your point, I didn't know, and you just taught me the vulva is the whole kit and caboodle. I thought it was the lips. No, you're saying vulva is the package.
Yeah, all three holes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Oh my God, I can't believe you learned something new today. Ah!
What would you say?
I can't believe you learned something new today. That's
This
awesome.
is this is this is what women making moves is about, us of coming together and saying, what do we not know yet? And there's so much.
Love that. Always believe in lifelong learning. And the great thing about knowing words and understanding words and language being such a beautiful tool is then like you can decide then what words resonate with you to describe yourself and your body. A lot of times on social media, I have to use a lot of words other than the traditional scientific definition. I can't say vagina. I can't say vulva. I can't say labia, which is truly sad. And I feel like in its own can be such a disservice, which is why I love coming on podcasts and stuff where I can just say what I want. But, in social media, I have to say coochie and, like poom poom and whatever, and kind of almost create this humor out of it, which I think has had a positive element to it, but kind of have to dumb down some of the importance of the words we use just so that it can reach a larger audience and people can watch them and hear it without my videos getting banned.
Well, funny, not funny. I'm going to have to put a lot of symbols when I post this on LinkedIn and Instagram because otherwise we'll get banned. I've been put in LinkedIn jail so many times.
God.
So, okay. You were explaining to new people what you did the other day about Cherri, and you were saying that they didn't even know what's a vulva. So now that you've given a great understanding of what a vulva is, what did you find to be true that created Cherri?
So I did a survey of over 5,000 people and discovered that the average width of the underwear in their underwear drawer was 1.8 inches wide, but the average width of their vulva was 2.5 inches wide. So the average person is wearing underwear that's just too narrow for them down there, which leads to what I like to call a lip slip, discomfort, irritation. And in that same survey, I also discovered that because of these issues, 97% of those people felt vulva insecurity because of it. So our underwear is not fitting us right for the majority of people, and it's making us feel bad about ourselves. And kind of like what we were saying earlier about how much products have been marketed toward the male gaze, like at what point did underwear stop serving its primary purpose, which is to cover and protect our coochies? When did it stop doing that?
I couldn't even have probably told you that that was the original purpose.
Right? Well, think about it.
Yeah, I mean, like to not chafe probably has to do with something with our periods.
hmm
Um, on average, we wipe well, so I'm not worried about moose tracks or what is that most men get?
Oh, skid
The
marks. It's 2024. Why don't more people have bidets?
thank you. You just talked to my soul. There is not a toilet in my home that does not have a bidet. Like
Love that.
if I don't use one, I feel cakey.
Yes. Oh my God, it's like literally once you go, you don't go back.
No. And then somebody doesn't have it, it's like it's gonna be a rough weekend. Okay. Ah, my ultimate state or goal in life is to be cozy. And cozy does not include like a tiny little piece of fabric. I've had my puffy coat my entire life, obviously. So in college, I used to wear those at Victoria's Secret. You could get those 5 for 20 deals on these tiny little G-strings, and I would wear them. And then I was like, there's a lot of me outside of this material. And I don't remember being supremely comfortable in those because they didn't fit,
Yeah.
but it's all I wore.
That's also a lesson in like how important branding is too. Like Victoria's Secret. Ooh, I'm wearing Victoria's Secret.
Yeah.
Does not fit me and does not make me feel good.
Mm. Cherri is the new Victoria's Secret. We're claiming it. We're claiming it.
I know.
So, did you start with a sewing machine and got out a prototype, or like how did it all start after your research?
I do not have the technical sewing skills myself. So I went to someone else and I said, hey, here's this idea. Help me execute it at the very first manufacturer I worked with, which was like basically a woman in her basement in Brooklyn was like making all the underwear for me when I first started. So my first sample and my first product was created, and she had had knowledge of the industry prior working for Target and Victoria's Secret. And she just designed the underwear measurements to kind of be, what word did she use? Industry standard.
Mm.
Industry standard was very small. So it was not like fitting me right. So we just kind of trial and error, added a half an inch here, added a half an inch there, changed this up until I felt like it fit my body better.
How much comfort did you have to have and trust in that woman being around your bits and like tailoring?
Yeah. Yeah, a lot. I mean, I think that I'm in general a little more comfortable with my body at this point, and I think in the fashion industry, it's so normalized to have, models there getting fitted by things, running around in their underwear, whatever. That's like just so normal.
Mhm.
So no one was, I think, ever taken aback by the fact that like I was there doing it.
Mhm. Yeah. Thank you so much for creating this conversation, blazing the trail toward why do we still have some of these things? Isn't that incredible that I feel like as a society, we've just been on autopilot for so long that we don't even realize anymore everyday things in our lives don't necessarily make sense or for our comfort or are healthy for our acceptance of who we are.
Yeah. So I think especially people who identify as women are so conditioned to be uncomfortable and just deal with it. If you think about everyday normal things like bras, high heels, a tight slicked back ponytail, a headband that gives us a friggin' headache. We still do these things and we deal with it because we're like, it's uncomfortable, but it's normal. But that shouldn't be the case. Okay, we're dealing with our lips falling out of our underwear. Oh, it's digging into us in the wrong place. Oh, we're getting these horrible wedgies. That's normal. Underwear does that. No, underwear shouldn't do that. And it doesn't have to.
Right.
So I think it's also unlearning a lot of things of like, oh no, this is the normal, but it doesn't have to be the normal.
I like that because it's not about persecuting anyone. In my case, anyway, it's like I'm not trying to make everybody that came before me wrong, but I'm also pointing out this doesn't feel right, and this doesn't help me feel like my most ravishing or however I want to feel that moment. This doesn't help me feel this way. And I love where we're going with this conversation because as an energetic coach, we all have that unique brilliance, that magic within us that makes us uniquely us. And some moments in life, some experiences in life have directly and purposely dimmed that magic or that light or that brilliance. Some inadvertently. I feel this is what like underwear has done, like inadvertently dimmed our light because it's not inclusive of all body types. And so if I'm trying to tap into my, let's say, my chakra energy centers and I feel amazing energetically, and then I look to something that I have on my physical body and I'm like, that's not quite the vibe, it's going to be hard for me to channel my internal energy as well.
Yeah. And that's exactly what I hope to accomplish with Cherri is that by revolutionizing how your underwear feels on your body, you feel differently about yourself on the inside because how you feel on the outside does affect that. So if you're worried, like you're at the beach and you want to go have fun with your friends, but you're worried about having a lip slip, that's hindering you from like living your best life and just going out there. If you're on a night out and you want to wear this cute skirt, but you're worried that you're going to be chafing or feeling too uncomfortable, like that's going to hinder you from wearing what you want to wear and doing what you want to do. And that is also important for feeling confident and feeling good about yourself and doing the things you want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you experience those moments? I love how you talk about the male gaze. Did you have those moments through your young adulthood that you're still in, of course, where you felt an expectation of the male gaze and that you were trying to meet it? Or have you always said, that's not for me?
No, and I think I still struggle with trying to unlearn it. And I think because for women specifically, it's something that is ingrained in us at such a young age. It does take lifelong unprocessing. And I'm still young and it still affects me every day.
Oh,
Just even like the hardest thing for me right now that I've been dealing with is I've been having skin issues. I've been dealing with acne that's gotten worse and worse and worse over the years, and I've been struggling with acne for the past 6 years. I cannot get myself to go outside without wearing makeup. I just feel like I can't do it. And I'm like, I know better. I know because I tell people to, show up as themselves authentically, and that's what matters. And for some reason, I still feel this requirement to make myself presentable to other people. I'm just going to the gym. I'm just going to the grocery store. Do I have to look like perfect and beautiful for who? What? I'm perfect and beautiful and fine without it.
mm-hmm.
So that's just an example of I'm still unlearning these things and it's still hard, even if we find one insecurity we overcome, there's always another.
What's currently happening with Cherri? What's on the line right now? Or is there a new sneak peek that you can give us?
Oh my God, yes, I am so excited. So right now with Cherri, my current offering are like comfy, cute, cotton, everyday styles from G-strings to briefs to like high cut thongs, just classic cotton underwear. I am excited to be launching more sexier styles. So I'm gonna start expanding and experimenting with mesh and lace so that on those times you do want to have a little feminine performance, you can do so in a way that still makes you feel comfortable. So you're feeling good about yourself while doing whatever you're doing, right? I'm also going to be expanding my swimwear. So I have like two bikini options at the moment that are almost sold out because of end of summer. And I will be launching different styles for next year that will be so excited to send to you because they will be camel toe proof. So the world's very first camel toe proof swimwear will be coming to the market. And I will also be launching a cotton seamless underwear. So you don't have to have the VPL in your gym leggings.
What's VPL?
Visible panty line?
I didn't know that. See, this is why intergenerational friendships are so important.
Love that.
Oh, that's so exciting. I can't wait to see all of your products on the main stage of every major fashion show in the entire world and just taking it by storm. I would say my follow-up question is, do you talk to everybody the same way? Like, is there a different way you would talk to, let's say, a baby boomer or like a person who identifies as a woman in the baby boomer and X and millennial and Z and alpha's still young, but coming up there? Is there a way that you have an intergenerational conversation, or are you just saying for those who have a vulva and find that traditional or historical undergarments don't fit you very well, take a look at Cherri?
Yeah, definitely. So I think just given the nature of the product I offer and the conversation I'm having, people can have a very negative perception of it.
Really?
Yeah, people still don't want to be talking about their private parts
Mm.
as something that they think should be remained private. And I think to a degree, but because it's so private, a lot of people experience a lot of shame. And I think there's a way that we can still talk about our private parts in a private way while being educational. I'm still struggling with this as I'm at a point in my business where I want to start bringing on investors and partners, and I'm trying to do more networking. I've been a one-woman show for 4 years, and I need to get to a point where I want to expand bigger, trying to figure out how I'm pitching my business to different types of people. And also not only like different generations of people, but also different genders. A lot of it is just kind of sussing out the vibe of a person and kind of seeing like what they might be more receptive to. But the one thing that stays constant, regardless of if they're male, female, boomer, millennial, is that I make them feel comfortable first and establishing almost like a trust in that relationship that I'm coming from a good place and they can receive it from a good place. So just making someone feel comfortable. So if they don't know what I'm talking about, they can ask questions without feeling weird. Even like, for example, men, that they can ask a question and they don't feel like they're being like creepy or like or anything like that. Like, no, this is my business. Like, feel free to ask me. Now, if you're going to ask me a weird, creepy question, like, what underwear am I wearing right now? Then maybe I'm not going to be so inclined to answer.
I have to tell you, Gabriella, if you find a way to tie Cherri to benefits for perimenopause and menopause, you will lock millennial, X, and boomer.
I would love that.
So I'm thinking we should have I'm going to call together a crew of diverse, multi-generational women. Well, let me ask if you would want that in the first place.
Yeah.
But because I tell you, that's going to be the big one. And how beautiful when those who identify as women or those with vulvas can have an open conversation about any feelings. We've likely never been, and I'll speak from millennials, we're never taught what the anatomical parts, where it was just like, you have this, and when mixed with this, it creates a baby.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was kind of the extent. So like how amazing would it be for us all to come together in this beautiful space to share some safe energy and dialogue? It could not only be better, but like we could all learn from each other. I learned from you this hour. I'm again 42. Like we just don't talk about it and we're not supposed to because to your point, it's private. And again, we all have free will and autonomy to opt into or opt out of any conversations or spaces that we feel comfortable with. So
Yeah, and that's fine. Like if someone doesn't want to talk about it, that's their prerogative.
great.
I like sent out an email marketing, email the other day. I don't send them out a lot. When I do, it's usually to announce like new products or sales. And I had just restocked something and it was a Labor Day sale. And my email heading was, Your labia has labored enough.
Wow.
Shop new underwear for like comfy, blah, blah, blah. So many people responded and were like, oh my God, that's hilarious. Just placed an order, blah, 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 blah. I got one email from someone who said, yeah, I don't want to hear about vulvas and labias and vaginas. Unsubscribed. That's okay. Great. I'm glad you unsubscribed because one, you can choose what you want to consume and not consume. But it validated for me in some point that I'm actually doing exactly what I should be doing, because if people aren't feeling controversial about it, then I'm not making waves enough. And that's exactly what I feel like needs to be done. Why are we hiding behind this? Our underwear covers our vulva. That is the purpose of it. So why are we not talking about that part? And I think it can be done in a way that, is humorous and light, so it can be receptive. And some people are just never going to be receptive to it, and that's fine. But I think it's right now, it's the time where people are starting to, and so I'm just gonna go for it. So while maybe it could be perceived as like something negative, like, oh no, I rustled someone's feathers. I'm like, no, I did the right thing, actually. I don't know if that makes sense.
It does. The way someone reacts to your beautiful, authentic self and truth and the narrative that you're shifting is not yours. It's
Yeah.
theirs. And you're beautifully allowing people to self-select into or out of your orbit. And how awesome is that?
And some people may receive that message and may be ready for it.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. And so I will continue to send those messages because while maybe someone doesn't want to hear it, another person needed to hear it.
So for 20 years, my expertise was email marketing and digital marketing cross-channel. So we were able to see a lot of some of those cool analytics that maybe they didn't convert, but I could see that they forwarded it on to someone and that they may have converted. So just trusting that when you speak your truth and you're putting out all of that awesome content, the universe is going to respond to you with that energetic match that can hear you at that point in time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that one email, bless them. They're probably unsubscribed and then like went to your site and ordered. So
Or they told all of their friends about it. Like, oh my God, I got this email. And then someone maybe was like, ooh, I'm curious.
exactly. Oh, we got work to do. Talking about the fact that women's bodies were not added to scientific research, medical research until 1993.
Which is crazy. We only just discovered how many nerves are actually on the clitoris because before
Yeah.
then it was like, I think they were using like a cow as well.
Yeah.
Like, what? How are we just finding out about that?
Yeah. Oh, it's 8,000, right?
Something like that.
It's a beautiful line we get to toe, women like you and me, and all them women I'm going to bring into this conversation. It's a beautiful line between being like, what the actual fuck? And here we all are to show up for ourselves, for each other, and to advance the education, the awareness, the knowledge for those who are ready for it.
Yeah.
So awesome. As we start to wind down, which is wild, what would you say to someone that's like, well, someone who might say, it's just underwear, does it really matter? What would you say to them? And then also talking to investors, because we know, especially in femtech, there is a drastic disproportionate funding happening with women founders. And so we need big awareness. So what would you say to the people that are like, it's just underwear, doesn't matter? And also to the people that are going to be your investor?
Who are asking potentially the same question. It's just underwear doesn't matter.
No, I'm thinking that the investors are like, where do I sign?
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. So first questions first.
Okay.
I go off on a tangent and forget the second part.
I'll come back. I know I have a bad habit of like asking so many questions in one. Okay.
No, that's good. So yeah, if I was talking to someone who was like, I don't wear underwear anymore, just like you, I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna be authentic with you. You're not gonna like wearing underwear again, just because you've gotten so used to not being with it. It's gonna be like a new learning curve. So if you want to wear underwear, I would love for you to try Cherri because perhaps it has solved some of the issues you haven't liked before about maybe, lip slips and lack of breathability and things like that. And if you're interested in trying it again, I think it would be a good option. Kind of in the same way, people who don't like thongs, well, maybe try a Cherri thong. You're not going to be 100% used to it off the bat, but it's going to be drastically more comfortable than whatever you've worn in the past. Because, your body, your choice. You can wear what you want. And if you don't want to wear underwear, I'm not going to force that on you.
Absolutely. But as you're talking, I'm like, what are the drawbacks of not wearing underwear? Well, we know that the vulvas beautifully, naturally, biologically discharge throughout the 4 phases of our cycle. So sometimes it's not ideal to have that come through on what you're wearing, pants, shorts, skirts, whatever. And it could make you feel uncomfortable that way too. So I think that's an interesting point.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't know how you do it because like the seams of clothing just rub and irritate me. I need to have like some sort of layer there of like protection. She's just the skin down there for me is just too sensitive and like my inner lips are longer so they get like caught in things.
Right.
So I feel like I need the protection.
I think I do though. I do need the protection and I am interested and yes. Because it's not ideal, especially like after my period when I'm spotting and I don't want to put a tampon in and it's just it's all of that. It's like the natural discharge that happens almost every day.
Yeah. Discharge can get worse if you're not wearing breathable fabrics. So
Uh-huh.
you may find that it might help, what's the word I'm looking for? Manage or regulate like your discharge. It's
Mhm.
totally okay, normal to have discharge depending on what type of discharge it is, but
Mhm.
you might find that actually improves.
Let's find a new word for discharge too.
Magic juice.
Lady sauce.
Lady sauce. Oh my God, that's hilarious. Oh my God, I love
I
that.
give you full permission to use that in the future if you say shout out Amy Pons.
My lady sauce. I'm gonna use that in the next TikTok video. I will tag you. That's genius.
Okay, and investors, including Amy Pons, who want to invest today. How do we do it?
Talk to me. When I'm looking for investment, I'm also looking to build a team because
Mhm.
right now it's been a one-woman show, and that has really hindered my cycle of innovation. I have so many innovative product ideas surrounding vulvas and vulva acceptance and changing the design to accommodate bodies better. And I feel like I know, not just feel like I know that this can make a positive change not only for people but for the industry to
Mhm.
nudge other people in the industry to start making better fitting clothing because it doesn't have to be this way and it can be better.
We're on it.
Yes.
Gonna rally the troops. We got you.
Because I think about the study I did, and I'm working on gathering more data actually. But the fact that in my survey of 5,000 people, that 97% said that they felt insecure about their vulvas, to me, that's an extremely powerful statistic. And that our clothing and our bodies and society is the reason why we're feeling this way. There is a way to undo it, and Cherri is the way to undo that.
I hear you on the data and figures, but we're also like, fuck the data. This is the right thing to do for those who have vulvas.
No, I've surprisingly had a huge support from the trans community
Mhm.
because of the extra width down there. It can accommodate another type of genital
Nice.
for, feminine presenting people. So that's been super cool and exciting for me that an entirely new demographic of people than I originally intended are enjoying and supporting Cherri and its message.
Perfect. Gabriella, where can we find you?
You can find me on TikTok at GabbyGabs, GABYGABSS. You can find me on Instagram at ShopCherri, ShopCherri. And you can shop my products at shopcherri.com, ShopCherri.com.
Amazing. Closing remarks as we wrap up.
Thank you so much for having me on. It was so amazing to meet you. I love your energy. If I'm ever in Chicago, I'm going to hit you up.
Yes. And thank you so much, Gabriella.
Thank you.